This is Shawn Michaels, former WWE Superstars, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
All right, we're back. Welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I am the internet icon, handsome Jackie Jones, along with my right-hand man.
1-inch biceps, Jack. Luscious biceps.
That's right. That's right. The Boogie Woogie Man named Luscious Biceps the other week. I think that's a good name.
Yeah, you're supposed to be handsome, Jack.
I know. And joining us right off the bat here, we have the Rocker. We have Marty Jannetty with us, and welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show. I've heard a lot about it, and I know you guys are cool from reading on the Facebook earlier, so this should be a really good time. We can rock and roll this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of questions on your Facebook, and if those people, if they have the courage, they can call in 508.
Trust me, they got the courage. They got too much courage. Some of it's liquid courage, but it's okay.
I was going to ask if it was like...
We got some liquid discourage right here.
No, I noticed just recently, actually, you were working for Chikara, and you were saying you had a good time, and you liked the people there. How'd that go?
Oh, yeah, it was great. Yeah, I mean, we did a little seminar last night. Man, my memory's bad. That was just last night. And, yeah, it was great. I mean, they're a great group. And since I've been up here, relocated to the New Jersey area, around Tom's River. I don't know if you're all familiar with that, but since coming up here and getting a lot of work, which was one of the reasons for coming here, and one of the first groups that everybody was talking about was Chikara, and I finally got to meet him, and Mike Quackenbush, the owner, is a great guy, and the group is they were great, and we got some stuff in the future that I'm looking forward to doing.
Yeah. Now you said you did like a seminar with the guys. Is that like what would you say, like, a lot of the younger guys, like, need work on the most?
Well, a couple of them not last night. A couple of the guys just work on their breath. Because, like, when you lock up and you got really bad breath, it causes facial reaction. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's different for everybody. You can't throw one generalization to cover everybody. But the biggest thing is the practice and the persistence, as I was saying last night to them. For the newer guys and the guys that want to know what's the best piece of advice, it would be that the practice is the biggest thing that you got to do. The persistence, continue. The patience, because everybody wants to get on top right away, or at least get up there. In the WWE or TNA, or it's one of the top ones that's got TV right away. And for the most part, that shouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know it does sometimes, but that kind of really defeats the character building process. The guys that jump in there in 1 year, they're on TV, they don't really appreciate it all, and it comes out in the wash eventually.
Mm-hmm.
The patience. I mean, it'll come when it comes. Just I try to tell everybody, enjoy the ride. Don't worry about the destination. It's there already.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it that way, do it that way, you'll be fine.
Do you think that's harder today? When you were starting, there was AWA and all sorts of territories. Would it be harder today to, go around and wrestle different places and then eventually get to the WWE?
It's harder today or back in the day, it was harder to get to WWE because it didn't exist then. It was WWF.
Right.
But no, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to cut up a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I've been asked that a lot, and I thought it over, and when I even slept on it one night, I woke up and it was still there, and I didn't have an answer, so I don't know.
Did you see any, how about this one? Did you see any cool costumes? I know Chikara's known for their outlandish wrestling gear.
Well, which fits right in for me, is, back in the Rocker days, we tried to be different than everybody else, too, with the gear. But last night it was a school seminar-type thing, so that was just pretty much workout, clothes. I'll see it just come in Saturday night in Reading, Pennsylvania, because we're doing a show there. And I've heard a lot about it. I've heard they have a great show, and looking forward to being a big part of that.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And I'll report that back to you about the outlandish outfit.
All right.
Because mine's damn sure going to be outlandish.
Speaking of outlandish outfits,
am I allowed to cuss? I won't cuss bad, but I mean, because a word's going to slip out here and there. Is that okay?
Yes, no problem at all. We've had New Jack on, and I assume you probably won't know.
Oh, New Jack was okay. I can say anything.
You're right. Surprisingly,
let me ask y'all this: did you see that 8-minute rant he had the time about it was on YouTube or it was part of a shoot interview. It had to do with the whole Benoit thing.
Oh yeah.
Y'all saw that? That was one of the best anger rants I've ever seen. It was like the intensity for 8 minutes. The particular subject, that was, that was, but I was just impressed with how long he could scream and yell with intensity in minutes. I mean, I tried that with my girls, sometimes back in Columbus, and I couldn't last 2 minutes. And then as soon as I stopped, I got super kicked.
Oh man!
I just think that was the one. It was him, Honky Tonk Man, and the Iron Sheik all together.
What's that?
I think it was the shoot interview.
Yeah, it was.
Honky Tonk Man and the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, because it was one of the few times that Honky Tonk didn't get to throw in his, stuff. He's pretty funny. He sees the negative in everything, even the positives. And I mean, it's sensible. It's funny. But he didn't get a word in. I think he was scared. New Jack slapped him.
Advice for Honky Tonk Man: he probably shouldn't moon the camera.
He's what?
He probably shouldn't moon the camera again. I don't think that was a good looking.
Did he do it? See, I didn't get to see that. All I saw was the 8-minute rant, the New Jack, and I was happy. I left the table happy.
Right.
I bragged about that for a while, and then I put it on. Back then, remember when MySpace existed?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it still maybe does, but I put it on MySpace. It was mixed reviews. A lot of people were cussing me out, like, "Wow, why could you put that? Why do you like that? What's wrong with you?" But I mean, I thought it was great.
Speaking of New Jack, he was infamous fight with Gypsy Joe, and I didn't know this till earlier. I was looking up some stuff about you. Yeah, I know all about you, but I didn't know you had a big feud with Gypsy Joe back in the day.
As far as in the ring or outside the ring?
Well, is there a story there outside of the ring?
No, not really. It was just something that wasn't appreciated. As far as in the ring, we worked. We worked a lot and had great. We had a feud against each other, but and it was good. The only thing that happened outside of the ring, or back in the dressing room, was one day. This is like when I first started, and one of the guys that got trained with me, the guy named Thomas Ivy. Who's I think sitting down there with Greg Brown and Donut listening right now. He got sent to Kansas City when he was back in Central States days. He got sent there, and he's new, green, got in the ring with Gypsy Joe, and we got trained by a guy that was really good for as far as teaching the basics. Jerry Oates, and Thomas had all that down. Thomas was a great amateur wrestler. But he got in the ring with Gypsy Joe, who, Gypsy style is crazy. Wild man, cuts you up, hits you with the chairs, bricks, and people parts. Mm-hmm. But they did a simple thing where Thomas took a tackle, and Gypsy Joe, first of all, a little guy like that shouldn't be giving, big man a tackle, which, psychology-wise didn't make sense. But Thomas blanked out. He went right down to his butt and sat there, and Joe hit the other ropes and came back, and Thomas was still sitting there thinking about what's the next thing I'm supposed to do. And that was it. Gypsy got mad and started beating the heck out of him, badly. And Thomas was a big old boy. He could have easily, snapped Joe in half if he wanted. He was there trying to do his job. He was upset at the fact he messed up more than anything. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of just took it. He took the beating, and Joe took that as, this big guy ain't nothing. And he kept on beating him, and he busted him open the hard way. And, we're sitting there watching that. And I realized in the back I'm watching, I wanted to run out, do a run out for real, because I thought it was horrible what Joe was doing, being a veteran. Mm-hmm. And the only really thing that came behind the scenes, what I say, was when Joe came back in the dressing room, to the dressing room, Thomas came back and he was crying. And trust me, he wasn't crying because he was hurting. He was crying because his feelings were hurt. Like I said, he's a badass. He could have handled himself easily. Mm-hmm. Joe come back, and I grabbed him, and we'd worked a handful of times at that point. And I grabbed him and said, "What the hell was that?" And "What the hell did you do?" He goes, he's a stupid ass. He don't know how to follow directions. Fuck him. I was like, he messed up a spot. He goes, "You got to teach these guys." I said, "Well, so that means that whenever any of us guys mess up a spot, that's what's going to happen." And it kind of got, Joe will fight you with a knife in his hand. He ain't got a problem at all cutting you. And he started going to his locker with getting, which I knew when he was getting his knife. And now a couple of people had to jump in between and stuff. I didn't know if that's what you were asking, but that's what had happened with that.
Oh, that's pretty. Was there many run-ins with guys in the ring where either they would really hit you or try to take advantage or anything like that?
Myself,
Yeah.
I've not really had that problem. In fact, we were talking about that last night at the school. What to do when that happens, when somebody knocks the hell out of you. Was it a mistake? Were they like my buddy Adam Bomb, Brian Clark, who he just can't help it. He's just big and strong and can't hold back. But he hits you, you see stars, and he ain't being one of them. But I'm just kidding. I love him to death. But, I don't know. Some guys do experience that where they get stiffed on purpose or, that's what I say. You got to distinguish between the difference. Was it on purpose or could they not control the punches? And then make a determination of what you want to do from there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've been lucky. I've been lucky that, in 27 years, the only time Frank was when he was doing Adam Bomb. He was Brian, and we were great buddies, still are. And that was still, I still feel the punches he gave me that night. That was like 15 years ago. But as far as that goes, I've been fortunate. So I don't really know, how you would handle something like that happens during a match. I was telling the guys last night, remember, first and foremost, be professional. That your obligation is to the crowd, the fans. So don't make it personal because something happened there when you're out there to please the fans. That's everybody's got their own opinion. That would be mine.
See, someone's been calling here. They're on hold. And they've been very well behaved. 678 area code. Who are you?
Hi, this is Joe from. I'm in Atlanta, but thanks for letting me call in. And I'm a big fan of the Rockers and stuff. So this is a pleasure to talk to you, Marty.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it. You're in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta.
What part?
Lawrenceville. It's Gwinnett County.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah,
it's right outside the city.
Yeah, right down the street there in Columbus. A little ways down the street, but
All right. Yeah. But I wanted to ask, my question was, when they split up the Rockers, was the plan to make you guys equally as important, or was it to push Shawn all the way? Did they have plans for you too, or?
That's something I didn't get privileged to know. If there were plans. Man, boys, you put me on the spot with the first question. That's a good one. I mean, I know I kind of know what I think, and I don't want to put that out there. So the best I will answer that is with, I think, as Vince did tell us that he split us up, was planning on splitting us up. He had said, well, look, we see big star in Shawn, and we don't quite see that in you. And, that maybe that answers that.
Do you ever think, looking back, when he said that he was trying to motivate you, or do you think?
I actually, after the little meeting him and Shawn had, I said, can I talk to you? He goes, yeah, sure. I said, well, you said I'm not. You don't think I'm big star material? Will you at least give me the chance to prove you wrong? And he reached out and shook my hand. He goes, I like that. Of course I will. And of course, then I think I got fired a week later. No, I can say nothing bad about Vince. He's been so good to me. I've made my own mistakes. There's been mistakes that were outside his control, but were made by the company. That here's one of the big jokes for a while was how many times that I've been fired from there. And some people realize I've quit too a lot of times. So a lot of the in and outs were firings and some were quittings. And at one point, me and Sheik were tied for the record. We had 6 times apiece being rehired. And then my last one, I think I topped it. I got the record now 7 times in and out. I don't know if that's something you want to go brag about or write down on give me a belt. It says 7 times real fired WWE guy. And that's a joke on Harley Race, because Harley, who I love to death, back in the day, the Central States day, he used to call himself the real world champion because he didn't, of course, at the time he owned Central States with Bob Geigel. And, that was WWE or WWF at the time was taking over the country, everywhere. And, of course, he didn't like that. Why would you wouldn't? Because you competition. So when he would do his interviews, he would always sit and say on the camera, this is the 7 times, he point to his belt around his waist, 7 times real world champion, not that Hollywood bullshit up north. And then, he preached that, talked about, real world champion. Then they called him to come up there, and he threw the belt on the ground and went right up there. and he called it, he did that whole thing. But I hope he don't find me and beat the hell out of me for telling all this, because I love him to death, man. He's the best. But you know that crown thing he had to wear when he first went in?
Mm-hmm.
That big heavy crown that weighed about 25 pounds. It was like putting a big 25-pound weight on your head.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as if that wasn't good enough, they made him put that string kind of under his chin. That was all because of the stuff he was doing, calling himself the real champion. And it's sort of like Jerry Lawler used to call himself the king of wrestling, which I guess, he still is, but wasn't, knocking WWE all the time. That whole crown thing, that whole, the king thing was because of those interviews. and Harley still went with it.
Yeah.
So, everybody talks, about this, hell with them, they ain't nothing, but the minute you get that call, shoot, they're right in the door.
Yeah. Very few people. I think maybe like Bruno Sammartino is about the only guy that didn't go back.
Yeah. And I don't know him, other than when he was in court testifying against me. And so I got no respect for him in the sense that he doesn't know me or we don't have any kind of relationship that he should come in and try to put me down for. I don't know if you guys noticed the guy broke his neck during the match.
Yeah.
Doing the rock and drop or doing it completely wrong. And Bruno ended up being the people that were suing us, their expert witness. Now, I got nothing against Bruno, like I said, other than him coming to court and saying, well, that move can't be done safely. Which to me is stupid, because if it's been done 100 times on TV, we got, the show film, one time shows it can be done safely. And he say this can't be done safely. And he goes to tell how I was careless and reckless to do it. I'm trying to think, how's he an expert? I'm not trying to knock him there, but what do you ever do besides an arm dragging a headlock? How the hell does he know anything what's safe or not? I mean, certainly a headlock's safe. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'll just tell you something. Back to next.
Thanks for calling in, Joe.
All right, thanks, thanks, Marty.
By the way, did I answer your question? What was the question? Did I ever get it?
No, yeah, that was great. That was good. Thank you.
You're welcome, bro.
Excellent. Let's see. Where's he got Mike's on the line?
From now on, I'll just say yes or no to the answer to the question.
Oh, don't do that.
No, those are always our least favorite interviews. We won't mention any names.
We've had several of them.
Okay.
Mike.
Yeah, how you guys doing? I just wanted to say thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
My question for you is, I don't know if anybody asked you this before, but how did you feel about when you came back the second time in WWE? Did you want to work with Shawn, again in like a rivalry, or try to do something like with the one-night tag team or anything like that?
The second, you say the second time I came back, or seventh?
Well,
no, wait, obviously I didn't hear you. Did you say the second?
Second. Yeah.
The most recent, I should say.
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay. So that'd be around the seventh. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I would like to have, and I think the plans were in place that was going to happen, even though he may not have known about it. But without getting myself in trouble, saying too much, yeah, I would have liked to have done that, and I think it would have been a great thing for wrestling. We could have made some really good things happen that are needed today. Not putting down anything, the product or nothing else like that. Just say some good stuff with substance behind it, and that would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree. It would have been nice to the Rockies reunite for at least one night, or kind of throw it up.
And even though now he's out shooting animals and having a good time with them, you never know. As Macho Man used to tell me all the time, brother, in this business, you never know. It is true. I've seen that many times over. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mike. I just wanted to know, when you guys put together the name the Midnight Rockers, did you really do that out of the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express?
Not at all.
Really?
In fact, no, we caught so much hell about that because it would seem like it actually that would be a pretty cool thing if we did do it that way, right? Take a piece of one popular team and a piece of another popular team. Hell with them, we'll take the name, piss them both off, and do it. But the truth of it, actually, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, was a big part of us doing that. We used to film out at the Showboat all the time out in Vegas every third week. A lot of Vegas, the town that never sleeps, and you know, what happens there stays there. Well, it was true all the time when we went out there. But we back then was young and dumb and full of stuff, you know, and we did the partying all night. It was all night partying, and to make it so this time I would take 20 minutes to answer. It came up one time about our party. We were there about 10 o'clock, and we were, you know, known to be the partiers. And somebody had spoke up and said, "God, these are the party guys on the team." And Kurt goes, "Oh, it's not even midnight yet. They don't even start till midnight." And then, you know, somehow the Judas Priest song started. You know, living after midnight, rocking till dawn. It all came together right there. Midnight Rockers. It was basically based off that song, and the fact that, you know, Midnight Rockers, and there's Midnight Express and Rock and Roll Express.
Mm-hmm.
You know, made it appear like, oh, you ripped everybody off. But no, that was how it legitimately came out.
Do you remember recording Wrestle Rock Rumble?
You had to bring that up, didn't you? And I'm sure you got also a B-roll track ready to play it, aren't you?
I wish I did. That would
No, don't wish that. I would have been saying. Now, we lived the rock and roll style. We did all the crazy. That's maybe one of the reasons that the Midnight Rockers did well, because the character was basically an extension of the real personality. And when that's the case, it's easy to do the character well. And but the one part we didn't have, and we tried several times. That wasn't the only song we bundled up. We tried, but the singing, no, we ain't got that. we couldn't do that part. But Shawn might do. I certainly can't.
Yeah. How long has it been since you saw the video?
Earlier when you put it on my Facebook. Today, 15, 20, 30 minutes ago. And I just said, oh, no. It's going to get me.
Good times here. Intro, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I was wondering about your matches you had a few years back with Kurt Angle. What was your feelings on that?
Kurt Angle?
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite moments in my career and one of my favorite matches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shawn and I had a couple matches that were, you know, unbelievable, just untouchable, I thought, until I worked with Kurt. Kurt is so good to me. You know, I watched him come in the industry. I watched him when he won the gold medal in the Olympics. I wrestled collegiate, and so, you know, I knew, you know, what was going on. I was watching him, and I thought, what a great effort that he had to put in to win the gold medal. Then to find out he was coming into our industry, it was like, wow. Let me see. You know, that's a hard transition to make. You know, the collegiate style to the pro. And other guys are doing it now. Back in the day, it was very unusual. But I watched him a little rough around the edges when he started, but he kept getting better, and I was watching it. It got to a point where, like, wow, I wish I would. This is something I said like years before I got to work with him. Like, I would love to have a match with him. At that point, I thought it would never happen. I would have been got fired 6 times. I wonder what it'll never happen. Unless we do it, you know, at Chikara, you know, or something like that. We do it over there. You know, we're both fired, and we'll go there. And no, that didn't sound. I didn't mean to put Chikara down. I love them.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that was. You know, I watched how smooth he was, how good he was, how he caught. You know, he picked up on. He knew what he was doing. He got it. You know, he understood. You know, everything. And it was just like wow. And then when I came in the time we did the Rocker reunion. The next night for SmackDown to, you know, work with Kurt Angle, which was, you know, of course, you know, setting up for Shawn and him to work at WrestleMania. And man, at that point, 24 years, 23, I'd not been that nervous in a while. I was like, you know, I mean, I'm the veteran of, you know, compared to him, who's been in about 10 years at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was nervous, like, oh shoot, can I hang? You know, but we got in there and it was just like magic. It was everything I thought it would be if we ever got to work and more.
Uh-huh.
And then when you factor in the fact, you know, that I'd been off TV for 7 years. Nobody'd seen me, and you know, I was 45 at the time. You know, trying to do the young man game. You know, could I? That factored in when we had like one of the best matches of our career, and pretty good match. You know, for wrestling in general. You know, there was a lot of good talk about that match. You know?
Yeah, that was some great stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I didn't nothing but praise for Kurt.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's that like? You know, when you're off TV for so long and you come back in front of the WWE audience, and you know, you get a big reaction.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, when we did the Rocker reunion, that was Monday night. It was the first night. I had, Tuesday night. At least I had one more day back, and been back in front of a big crowd, WWE crowd. The night, Monday night, when we had the reunion against La Resistance, that was my big fear. It's like, they can remember me. I've not been on 7 years or longer on any TV. In fact, with WWE TV, it's been 96. So yeah, about 9 years since I've been on their TV. I went to WCW for a minute, and but that was, and I kept. Shawn was like, "Why are you so nervous? Back in the day, you didn't give a damn about nothing when you should have." Why are you worried now? What's going on? So Shawn, we step out. The worst thing a wrestler can do is step through the curtains, and you get booed or you get EAs. But either one's fine. If you step through and you get silence, that's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was thinking. Is like, they're gonna look like, who's that jackass? Who's that old man?
Yeah.
Shawn smacked me. He goes, "Dude, we were the Rockers. They're not gonna forget you." I said, "They gonna forget you. You've been here the whole time." And I mean, right by the curtains, right before we're going out. And it was in Atlanta, right close to home. So that made me more nerve-wracking. But then our music played. And that's it. You got to go. You ain't got time to think about nervous or anything. As soon as we stepped through the curtain, the explosion, the crowd going crazy, and I mean, I was just so like elated and I soaking it in. I actually stopped and was going, wow. And Shawn come on, stupid, we still got to go to the ring. Because I told you. He said, I told you. He said, you were worrying for nothing. I told you. But yeah, that was for me. I don't know about anybody else. For me, though, I was scared to death. I was going to step out in the curtains to a symphony of silence.
Yeah.
So get some more people on the line. A lot of people here on the line. We got Larry Higgins.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing
I know that name. What I know that name somehow.
Not sure how you know that, Marty, but that's all good. I'm Larry. I'm calling from Moncton, New Brunswick, up here in Canada. Hopefully I don't have an echo like I did last time there. So do we sound good, Jack, or what?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. Marty, I just want to let you know I've been watching professional wrestling for over 30 years, and for tag team wrestling, you guys were my favorite, you and Shawn. And I remember watching you guys at the Moncton Coliseum. I was about 11 or 12, and I had bought my rocker shirt, and I cut it all up just like you guys. And I was leaning over where the Zamboni came out, and I was watching you guys watch the match that was taking place. And I tell you, I was about 5 seconds ready for about jumping down into there to come down and see you guys. But I chickened out and didn't do it.
Wow, well, I appreciate that, bro. That's the biggest compliment. Hopefully, when you cut the shirt up, you cut the Shawn part off. But I mean,
well, right?
I'm just kidding, man. I don't mean that.
I also want to say that when you made your comeback, Inter kind of stole my question on me there from the board, but when you made your comeback, you look pretty good, man. For a guy that was 45 wrestling, you still have it, buddy.
I still got it now. You remember that song, though? I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. I find myself singing that a lot now.
Awesome. So what are you doing in these days? Are you still keeping active in the wrestling world at all, or?
Yeah. Right now, I'm trying. I'm doing a lot with the younger guys. With the training. The word in the streets is, maybe getting my own school here in the Towns River area. We don't know. That's just word in the street. We don't know. I just heard it today. But we're doing that, working some shows, doing a lot of appearances. We've got a book coming out soon. Scott Teal with Crowbar Press, who's done some of the other wrestlers, is going to work with me. We're going to get it out soon. And I'm getting right back into the thick of things. I took a little break. Thought maybe it. I had some issues that I had to iron out down in Florida. Because, I forgot that I wasn't young anymore when I was in the mid-40s. Still doing the things you do when you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I still forget that I'm not young anymore, so don't feel bad, I watched your RF video shoot that you did not too long ago. Well, probably be a while ago now. And one of the funniest things you ever said on there was an Iron Sheik story about a short clothesline and a girl.
Yeah. Everybody talks about it. It still tells me to this day how that's the funniest thing. That's the funniest story. Well, hell, I lived it. That's what it was like for me. It was at the moment it happened. I was scared to death. My heart's pounding because the girl's being wheeled out on a gurney, and the police were running around looking for Sheik. I left him with the girl. What the hell happened? Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's classic. Thanks for the last one. You guys have a good night.
Thanks for calling, Larry.
Thanks, man.
Iron Sheik's actually our shortest interview ever. It lasted about 5 minutes. But
did he fall asleep or did he say, to hell with you? I am Kentucky Thoroughbreds. You are jackasses.
It was a lot louder than that and harder to understand.
Oh, okay. He might have needed medicine.
Yeah.
He's really hurting these days too, man. I feel so bad. This one of the guys that did a lot for this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Was a big part of it. And man, why doesn't he have a book out? Is what I wonder. I mean, every day, if you hear, everybody that's ever met Sheik has a story. I've got many because I was around him all the time. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's amazing. There's not a Sheik book out, mm-hmm. and I realize he's not in a condition to be able to do it. But I had suggested one time a bunch of guys that all tell their stories and conglomerate them and do a book off that. Because I promise you, anybody that's ever been around him has got their favorite Sheik story. I'm sure you guys have heard some, got some of your own. Mm-hmm. What do you do? A 5-minute interview.
Exactly. At the time, it was our most downloaded show at the time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Because, that shock value, you don't know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah, and this was before he was on Stern and everything, so it wasn't quite as expected as
the last. Here's my latest Sheik story. Not too long ago, a year ago or something, we were doing a signing somewhere. Yeah, and I just put this up on Facebook without knowing exactly what to charge up in this area, kind of filling it out. Wherever we were at this particular time, everybody was doing $10 for the 8x10s. Now, Sheik, he's sitting about 2 people down from me, and he's got, last 8x10, 2 best world champions. It is a picture of him and Stone Cold. Best champions ever in WWF. Fuck that Hulk Hogan. These are the best 2 ever. And then, excuse me, I wasn't supposed to cuss like that. Sorry. But anyway, right. So he's like, last one, $25. Last picture. And somebody comes running over because they hear him, holler that they bought it, walked off. As soon as they got away, he reached their table, pulled another one out. Last picture, $25. Best champions ever. And it was working. I just, his little hustle was a little bit different than Virgil's. Y'all know Virgil.
We've met Virgil many times.
Virgil's got one. His little hustle. He goes out when inside. He goes out and somebody says, "Hey, Virgil," he walks right out to him like his best friend. "Hey, what's your name?" He shakes their hand. They say their name. He starts writing it on the thing, and they're thinking, "Wow, he's gonna give me a free. That's cool." Then he hands it to him. Says $20, and they're like, "What? I didn't want." He goes, "You sat there and watched me sign it. I can't sell it down with your name on it." And for the most part, he gets it every time.
We've witnessed that. We've also asked him for an interview, and he always gives us a couple minutes, couple dollars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's just you get a couple of minutes out of him. It's probably a minute too long because he will embarrass the hell out of you. He does. He doesn't mean to. I think it's sort of a sociopath thing. He doesn't realize, that you can't be talking about your ding-ling to the airline stewardess in front of the whole airplane.
Not anymore, anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got our REs on the line.
Hey, what's up, Marty?
Hey, bro. What's up?
Hey, I remember seeing you in WCW.
Yeah.
Back when WCW was getting a whole lot of wrestlers from WWF.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I was just watching, not to cut you off, but I was just watching that myself, the Rise and Fall of ECW. I'd not seen it until about a couple of days ago. And yeah, it brought a lot of memories back that you're talking about.
and what do you think of your match with Raven?
Was that it? We didn't do it there, though, did we?
Yeah,
ECW. I know at WCW we had a match, or a couple of them.
Yeah. I think it was cool.
I like, Johnny and I, or Raven and I are good friends. Did I just say his real name? Raven and I are really good friends, and you know what, Johnny Polo. Remember you did Johnny Polo way back in the day in WWF. We used to travel the roads together. We worked together. We had matches against each other in WWF, and he was Johnny Polo. And I used to tell him, love you. You know, he knows the psychology, he knows everything, but he's a clumsy ass in the ring. You know, it's like, damn, dude, man, we got to work on you. Let's work on. Don't hit the weights. Let's go work on your agility and coordination. You know, and but then and he really didn't care much for the gimmick anyway. But when he got that Raven character, again, it's that extension of your personality. If you can get that. He does it well. He does it great. I mean, when I worked with him in WW or WCW, the clumsiness was still there, but it was okay because of what the character. I mean, it fit the character, and it was perfect. That's why I think, you know, even today that character's still great. He can still play it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I enjoyed working with him. I enjoyed partying with him, and we had some crazy times on the road that I can't tell y'all about on there. I get pictures, but I can't. You know.
All right. Maybe we'll see them in the book.
Yeah.
Those pictures can't even go in the book. This will have to be when we're hanging out.
Were you ever witness to the Rhino?
No, I didn't ever meet. We said hello here and there, but I've never, personally.
No, there's actually a story here.
Wait a minute, you're talking about whose Rhino? Are you talking about the wrestler Rhino or something? You talking about something else?
Yeah, I was talking about Raven's Rhino.
Oh, okay. So that one was right over my head. Sorry about that. You know, I've seen a lot of kind of rhinos over the days with him. No, I can't. I was going to tell y'all the Vegas story. No, I can't. I ain't going to start. Go ahead. Go somewhere. All right, next.
Thanks for calling in, Raven. You're a good man.
Hey, no problem.
All right. So we got Joel Gomez calling in from Portugal.
Hello.
Joe's from Tampa. I know Joe. This is a different Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
It's Joel, I think. It's
the other, quite far away from Tampa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I know Joe Gomez from down in Tampa. Pretty cool dude.
He has to be a nice person by that name.
Yeah, definitely. You can't carry that name without being.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What's happening, bro?
I'm fine. I had two quick questions to ask you. The first being that, being that you tag team with Shawn Michaels, nowadays we look upon him as being quite the great wrestler. But were there many doubts amongst bookers back in the day that Shawn Michaels could have been a great wrestler? Was there ever a story of somebody looking at him, being that he was a smaller person and thinking that he wasn't good?
Now, his talent was recognized right from the get-go. After I shaped it up a little bit, polished it a little bit AWA days. But no, really, though, he always, the talent, you could always tell, it was never a question of the talent. It was a question of the attitude. Which, now I'll probably catch a lot of heat about it, but I'm just speaking truth, No, the talent-wise, no, it was always, always very good. And he was improving, constantly. So they were like, wow, how good will he get? But his attitude improved negatively too. It grew negatively too. But yeah.
Were you in WWE during the WWF during the Kliq days?
Yes, I certainly was, and every one of those guys individually I loved, but collectively, what a fucking what a pain in the ass. Damn, I didn't improve. I didn't play the language that much. I'm sorry. Yeah, everyone. Kevin and the Triple H, was who I have the highest respect for because of how hard he's worked. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say, he kissed his way up and got into the family and all that. No, that man worked hard. He eats, breathes, sleeps wrestling, and always will. So I get nothing but respect for him. X-Pac, everyone, Kevin, Scott, all of them, PJ, it was all of them individually loved them to death. But when they got together, man, all the dressing room was like, what the hell?
Did you have any particular run-ins with them, or were you just friendly with them? But
no, we were good. I mean, we were fine. We were always fine. And we made trips together at some point. It split off because I don't know if that was when Al Snow came in. We did the New Rockers, but something other happened to where started traveling with someone else. But no, we were good. I was surprised at a lot of things I was seeing. As far as as a business, not outside, down the road, but behind the scene. I mean, just the business part.
Maybe I'm in the minority, but I actually like the New Rockers. Did you like that gimmick? Do you think it could have that went on?
The problem with it was that it wasn't meant for us to do well. And the reason I'll tell you the story, the reason I say that, they first threw us together and explained the character, being stuck in the 70s, 80s, whatever, and like the monkeys or whatever the heck it was. Al was great with it. He was so happy and good with it. It was the first, at that point, the first big break for him. Myself, I was thinking, why has it got to be rocker? I mean, can't we call ourselves something else? I mean, because the rocker thing was pretty good. Let's leave that. Let's let that. Let's don't diminish it by throwing this together and playing off it. And it kind of right from the get go, the night they gave it to us, explained what it was supposed to be. I thought this don't make sense. This is pie. I don't get this. I don't know how we're gonna pull this off. And Shawn came to me. It was a TV tape, and Shawn come up to me and goes, well, what do you think about the new rocker thing? I was like, I was getting a big breath because I didn't know. The next thing came out of his mouth. He goes, it was my idea. I thought you would like that. And then I realized, did you? But I had to keep my mouth shut, right?
Yeah.
But so we had to run with it. We had to go with it. And, it was supposed to be the goofy crap, silly, we're stuck, we're stupid, dumb idiots type thing. Stuck in the 70s and goofy. I mean, you want us to be. The only way I saw it working, because I was part of the actual original Rockers, and I was coming in, and I didn't, was for him to do the silly stuff, and for me to be looking at it like, no, that's not how you do it. No, try to play it that way, which we did, and it kind of was working. And they'd come up to the office. People would come up and said, we need you guys to be a little more serious. Yeah, so they kind of made an adjustment for what they told us to start with. We got a little more serious with it. They come and told us after that, we need put a little comedy to it, like you had, but seriousness. It just wasn't making sense what they were saying. And finally they said, maybe you guys, and they started having us work against other baby faces. Maybe I'll put a little edge on you. So we started doing that, and we actually, everything they would tell us to adjust to, it would take a minute, but we get to it, and the fans would start, buying the character, and they come tell us that ain't it. I told Al one day, I said, I don't know what they want. He goes, Marty, you understand, they don't want this to get over. And that was right from the beginning, the thing, the feeling I had when Shawn said it. I did it. This is my idea. I kind of thought right then it was a personal thing.
Yeah.
And then, it took a while. Al's great. I don't know if that Al. Al Snow was great. He's sharp, and he's the right guy to have. The original Tough Enough. He was the right guy to have training the schools, for the school. And then he caught it. He told me, this ain't supposed to get over. Because we'd be getting over the character, like I said, and then they'd come tell us, no, that ain't it. And that was actually why I left in '96. That was one of the times I left. One of the ones that they didn't fire, I fired myself. I quit.
Yeah.
Because I realized, wow, we've done everything they asked, and this has got to do with probably another individual's personal stuff rather than business. The hell with this. I mean, what can we do? I'm done. That's one of the reasons I walked out that time. It had to do with what you just said.
Al Snow, he reinvented himself in ECW and really became a lot bigger. And I know you had a short run in ECW.
Very short.
Yeah. Yeah. Why was it so short? Would you have liked to?
Well, because Paul Lee. I mean, I loved the guys in ECW. I loved the product itself. I wasn't crazy about Paul Lee, especially after he gave me 2 bad checks.
Well, that would probably do it.
Yeah.
And him and I were boys. I mean, we'd hung out, and we broke in around the same time. He was out in Central States way back in the day. We used to hang out at the China Club in New York, and he'd come drop some vitamins in my hand, and then, we'd be partying. And then he goes and, starts giving me bad checks and giving me, playing the smile on your face and then stab you in the back roll. And he had those guys, man, cutting themselves in a piece, just giving their life, their heart and soul. And you know this, right? He wasn't paying the guys. He was like, let me reinvest the money. We'll just keep the company floating. I mean, I just had no respect for that. I loved ECW, and I loved all the guys. I mean, he had something there that was unbelievable. Those guys would lay their life down for it. And he was screwing everybody. So, I mean, that was my only, drawback, and that's why I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Or ECW,
Joel, sorry, what was your question? Joel?
I guess we got to get back on something fun. We got no more negative stuff.
Hello?
Let me tell y'all about Pat Tanaka. Y'all know Pat Tanaka?
Oh, yeah, Pat Tanaka, exactly.
Let me tell you my favorite story with Pat Tanaka. We were coming back from Japan. The Pat's a super guy, great guy. But, you know, the ribbing in this business, you know, without it, the business almost don't exist, you know, or at least back in our days. Pat Tanaka, with the long, you know, hair, the Japanese, for y'all that don't know, long, flowing Japanese, you know, and he's, you know, when you rib somebody, if they react to it like, oh God, I can't believe it, well, then that's what you want. It's somebody who don't care, you know, it'll make it fun. You know, you rib them, they don't care. Pat used to sell it. I mean, he used to, you know, oh God, it would kill him. Well, we had wrestled in Tokyo. We were flying back to, we had a show in L.A. That's a 14-hour flight. And, you know, the guys do what they can. I mean, that's a long-ass flight. And then, you know, knowing when you land, you got to go get ready and have a match. Mm-hmm. The guys will do anything to pass that 14 hours. Usually we'll take Excedrin PM or something to sleep. But it don't come in Excedrin PM bottles, but it's the same difference, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Pat had done that. And if, you know, he was, how do I say this without getting any of the other guys in trouble? Well, he slept really hard. So really, really good, you know. When we landed in L.A., they had to shake him and wake him up. You know, it's like, get off the plane. And we're sitting up in first class, and everybody's, you know, going on past and looking back, and Pat's coming too. And he's groggy, you know, not quite. Everybody's looking and laughing and pointing as they're going by. And he's thinking, well, what the hell? And Hogan was sitting right next to him, and he's thinking, why are they looking at me? Hulk's right here. Why are they staring at him? You know? And, you know, him and I are like best friends. And I'm right across the aisle from him. He's looking at me like, what the hell is everybody pointing at me? I was like, go to the bathroom and look in the mirror. And he's like, he gets up and groggily walks into the bathroom. And we're sitting there, everybody's waiting for the reaction, and we hear him in the bathroom, oh my God! What had happened is they shaved the right side of his head completely. He was bald on one right half, and then, you know, he had the Fu Manchu, and they shaved the left half of that. And we had to wrestle in L.A. that night. In fact, it was the Orient Express. You know, it was him and Paul Diamond as Kato, and against us, against the Rockers. And, I mean, he comes running out, and he's like, what am I going to do? He was just so panicked. He was just like, oh, my God. I was like, calm down. We'll fix it. How we go? I'm bald on this side. How we going to fix it? So when we got to the L.A. arena, we said, look, here's what to do. And I forgot who had it. You know, some of the Road Warriors, you know, that painted. So we're here. We'll paint the sides on. We'll paint the mustache back on. It's missing. The beard is missing. Mm-hmm. We'll put you a bandana. Just wear a bandana in the ring and paint just below it so it looks like hair. And it was just get in there and I'll take care of you. Start with me. Start a match with me. I'll take care of you. But we did that. Got in the ring. Me and him go lock up. Snap married him. If you all know what it is, where you throw him down and you get behind him like a rear chin lock thing. First thing I did was pull the bandana off. And it is like 15, that's a huge arena, 15, 20,000 people just roaring laughing because he's got paint halfway up their head and this bald and this hair. And then he's like, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch. I said, hold on, it was a mistake. I'm not through, let me fix it. And he's right there, and I reach around and I start wiping with my hand, wipe the mustache. It was drawn up, wipe it off. So now you can see it. And he's cussing the whole time, and he's screaming at his own reaction. We're supposed to be sitting there having a big match in the L.A. arena in front of 20,000 people, but it became so comical the way he sold it and all that. They actually cheered. They laughed. They cheered because it was entertaining. But that's my boy Pat Tanaka. That's my Pat Tanaka rib story.
Yeah. I was a big fan of those guys. You guys had awesome matches with the Orient Express.
They're great, man. They were one of the best. You know, they did Bad Company back in AWA days.
Yeah. I really liked their finisher when they were Bad Company, like the catapult into the DDT.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. And, you know, Pat, even now, he's doing that what's it called, microchip wrestling or micro wrestling?
Yeah, with Meatball, microchip.
I mean, the only problem is he keeps getting mixed in with the midgets. They can't tell which are the midgets and which is him. They have to pull him out and say, step aside. And we don't get to see him much anymore because, he's Hulk takes care of him. And I think Hulk takes care of him because of that flight. Not saying Hulk was part of that, but Hulk was sitting right next to him. That's all I'll say.
Were you ever? Did you ever get any ribs played on yourself?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, when you do a lot of ribs, you're going to get a few back.
Right.
And they got me a handful of times.
Any of them stick out?
Including the hair, you know. But the one thing about it was you know, remember Davey Boy? Loved him to death. You know, Briscoe, Davey, and Owen, Kurt Hennig. Those guys were, you know, the Nasty Boys. Myself, and Pat would try every once in a while, but Pat was always would backfire on him. But we were always ribbing. You know, when you rib people, they're going to do something back, but then you're going to retaliate back again. And it's according to how you play that game. There's a whole psychology to that. that really, for the most part, sometimes they were obvious. I was able to hide mine more, and they're like, I'm not so sure we should mess with him. They probably beat the hell out of him, but they don't know what's going to happen, where they're going to end up.
Any Mr. Fuji ribs?
You know what Mr. Fuji used to do that was so funny? We worked with him. Who was he with? Powers of Pain? Was it? Well, he was with several people. It was Powers of Pain when he was doing that. We did a 6-man one time, or several times. He used to do this thing which he'd come up, Marty, you're a good man, let me tell you the spot. He said, hey, go do a sunset flip. I stand, I don't go down. Yank my trunk down. You know, you pull the back with sort of butt.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he would prepare ahead of time. He'd stick a piece of toilet paper in the crack of his butt, and so when you pull it out, and he doesn't go down, and he's got the toilet paper falls his hit you in the face, and he's not dropping for the sunset. He's walking around circles. The entire arena is laughing, and you're not sure to let go because the toilet paper's smacking you in the face. but the whole crowd's laughing, so you stick with it. So it's a double rib.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Joel, did you have your question? Your last chance?
Yeah, that's my last chance. I apologize. My computer froze. My last question was, it was about something that was already mentioned, but I think I still have a good question to ask about your run in WCW, the latter part of WCW. It was quite convoluted, at least to me it seemed to be a little convoluted. What were you promised in terms of... Yes, exactly. I like to do this way. What were you promised in terms of your contract? What were you told that you were going to get by going to WCW?
I mean, there was never. Honestly, I mean, it was just the money. It was a good, pretty good contract yearly.
No programs.
There wasn't like we'll do this with you, we'll do that. It was like a floater. When you fit in rotation, we'll do something with you. There was no guarantees on mine. In fact. At that time when I came in, it was, we were talking about the Kliq earlier with WWE, with the guys, but the Kliq in WCW was like, it was like Kevin Nash and his group of guys, Dusty Rhodes and his group of guys, and Ric Flair had his group of guys, and Kevin Sullivan had his group, and they all, it was almost like a battle, and Eric Bischoff, everybody was battling everybody, and if you wasn't in one of the Kliqs, which I wasn't, you really had no chance. You're going to be, somebody that they'll use to get their guys over, type of thing. So I mean, I think a lot had to do with the timing of when I came in.
So you were not promised any feuds?
No guarantee. No, for myself, no, I was never promised anything.
Okay.
Except money. I mean, it was a good yearly contract to not be considered.
That's good enough.
Thanks, Joel.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Let's see here. 256 area code. Who are you?
Hey, it's Chef Carl.
Oh, Chef Carl. How you doing? You got a question for Marty?
Most definitely. Marty, I know you guys came down here in Alabama, the Continental area.
I knew that 256 area code. I knew that's where it's at. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, if you don't mind, could you just talk a little bit about what it was like wrestling in Continental compared to some of the other smaller territories?
No, oh man, you talking way back, 87, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hold on, let Gator answer that one. Just Gator Wolf. All right, he got his word in as well. I had to get him in there. Where the heck did we come from? We just left AWA, and we went to Tennessee. No, you know what the story behind that is? That was when we left AWA and went to. I'm sure you guys have been around. Well, I've heard the story where we went into WWF, left AWA.
Yeah.
We're there one day, and we set a record there. And we got fired like the second day, and it all had to do with a mistake. What's his name? Jesse. What was Jesse Barr?
Jesse Barr. Oh, the one of the Funks. He was Jimmy Jack Funk.
Jimmy Jack Funk. Yeah, it was just a disagreement or a misunderstanding. Went crazy there, and we ended up, coming in on it was 2 TV tapings in a row. The first day we didn't get to work. The second that night we went out to meet all the guys, and that's when things went crazy. They weren't what was said. What was actually what got back to Vince wasn't the truth of what happened. But he saw it was like, wow, these young kids coming here to a big company and then they go do that the first night. So he pulled us aside and said, well, we think maybe y'all need a little more time to grow up, that kind of thing. And with that, we just left Vern over at AWA. So they're jumping them down like, y'all screwed up, y'all left us, now what? Now come try to come back. So we ended up having to go down to Continental over that, which was it was a big drop. AWA was at that time was still pretty good. Of course, WWF was it. As much as they are now. So they've gone from one pretty big company to the bigger company, and then get shoveled back down to a small territory, a local territory. I loved it. I mean, I loved everybody there, but it was still, as far as career-wise, it was a real big letdown. And I think we buried ourselves in snow just to not think about it. And it don't snow that much down there, so you know what I mean. But we and Shawn in particular, I think he either talked about it in his book or in an interview where he got so depressed about it he was thinking of killing himself. Which I didn't know that. I mean, he never told me that while we was down there, but I could see it with hindsight when he mentioned it. I could remember like, he was pretty down. Mm. But yes, but otherwise the territory itself, the Fullers and all the guys down there, the Dr. Tom Pritchard and I can't remember who else we worked with quite a bit, but it was that as far as that it was great.
Okay. Awesome.
Thanks, Chef.
I bet.
Who's a bigger wrestler behind the scenes there, Virgil or Robert Fuller?
Say that again. Who's the bigger what?
There's always a rumor who's.
Oh, okay, all right. Virgil or who?
Robert Fuller.
Yeah, so as far as I could tell, because I tried not to go around being a pecker.
Right.
but yeah, I gotta say, we have to throw that one out to the very few women that Virgil was with, and the reason I say that. No, I can't talk about this. No, I can't do it. Virgil, Virgil, when we were in the shower, after the match,
right.
We tried to stay way away from him. We tried to stay way away. And he knew it. He knew why. He knew what mess with us. He went, what, you afraid of this? Hey, man, leave us alone, bro. Go back over there with your snake. Go on, snake time. Go over there. But, how did I say this? If it hung to, almost his kneecap,
mm-hmm.
When it was, just in the shower was, him and I are boys, so he can get mad all he wants. He's gonna have to smile and things like, well, you're right. We roomed together a few times, and one time in particular in Milwaukee, it was the person that was there just kind of said, like, there's Virgil, go that way. And the surprising thing to me was, all the talk, about how the snake swung. You know how most of us grow as you get excited?
Right.
Virgil shrank as you get excited. And couldn't really do much with it. This is a horrible thing to be talking about on radio. I just wonder why I get fired a lot.
I actually saw on your Facebook page someone wanted to ask a question there. It was Pete Escobar about if you ever had to use a toilet during a match, and you actually replied to that. Someone called in and listened to their show here, but
I would, and I figured I'd get warmed up for the show by answering a couple of there. Somebody said Tom Brady, Brandy, not Brady too. Tom Brady did in football. Tom Brandy. I don't know if I accidentally threw the name out there, but this actually happened a couple times. One of the guys got slammed. He had to go. I won't mention his name, but he had to go really bad. Evidently, he had some bad Chinese food that day or something. And he even said ahead of time, like, "Oh God, I got." He's squeezing his. That just sounds horrible. He's squeezing his butt cheeks together and he's going out his ring, and we're like thinking, "Oh God, that's got to be miserable." Then whoever it was, I think he was working with Andre. So imagine Andre picking you up and slamming you when you feel like that. And that's what happened. And we just seen the guy's eyes just get wide as they could from laying down. And we're like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. And he got up, and sure enough, you can see a little bit coming down the back of the shorts, his trunks. But the one that we was talking about on Facebook, there wasn't no doubt. Because he had wore nice, bright. And remember, he did the gimmick, what was he like?
Sal Sincere?
Yeah, and the charmer, good-looking model guy, wears nice, bright, clean tights, white tights, and just blew out. And there wasn't no disguising it. The funny thing about Tom, too, didn't give a damn. He's like, too late now. He just kept on wrestling. The people, it was so funny. The referee, I think Earl Hebner, rolled out of the ring. And all the fans ringside were holding their nose. They weren't laughing. They were holding their nose, and they were scooting back. I mean, it must have smelled bad.
Let's see here. Intro, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the book. How do you like writing the book with Scott Teal?
If I could, the hardest thing in the world, I don't know if y'all have ever tried, writing a book is, and I've got, tons of stories that right now I'm trying to keep limited, so, if I don't shoot Scott out of it, there's stories for the book. But it's just so, for me, especially with ADD, ADHD, or whatever it is, it's just so hard to sit and write. And I love the stuff I'm talking about, and, the business and the stories. Mm-hmm. It's just it's so time consuming, and it's, for me, it's so hard to do. And Scott's being real patient with me, so he's helping me in every kind of way. I think the world of him. I think when we get this out finally, that it's going to be one of the best ever. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it'll be in the very near future. Cool. And like I said, I think with his style, the way he's helping and all, I think he's pulling me some good memories and ways of writing it. I think and I've read a lot of the guys' books. I like all the guys, so I like their books, but I still think that we're going to have something that's better than anything that's been put out yet.
Oh, excellent.
Scott really puts out the really well-written books.
Yeah,
like
class act, man. He's a class act.
Mm. His last one with Stan Hansen's really good.
Yeah, and Stan's a great guy, and I can't wait to finish reading that. I mean, whatever, because I know Stan, especially from the Japan days, and a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take one more call here. Oh, go on, Intro.
Oh, I had a question from the message board. Reese's wants to know, was there any tag...
Regis Philbus? What's his name?
Reese's, like the Reese's peanut butter cup. Is that his real name's something else? But I don't know if I want to. It kind of dealt with the Virgil story earlier. So, but anyhow, he wants to know: was there any particular tag team that you didn't like to work with?
We didn't. Let me think about that because I can't remember none right now. I mean, we actually enjoyed working with everybody. In fact, when we had to work with Powers of Pain, they were so big, so strong. And I talked a little bit last night at Chikara School about this. They were so big and just, monster looking. And here Shawn and I were like at the time the littlest guys in the WWF. And, even the boys were like, oh, God, I can't wait to see how y'all, manage to pull this off, which they didn't think we could. And quite honestly, we were nervous about it. But we ended up doing exactly what I was telling last night, working to their strengths and ours and not making it, be something that, showing, doing the double team stuff, just stuff that made sense to where you can buy into it, not doing stuff that's ridiculous to the little guy, throwing the big guy around, that kind of thing. And that was our biggest, the fear was with them. I mean, working with them, and it was only because could we make it work. as far as ever, anybody we didn't enjoy working with, no, everybody. Everybody was good. Everybody was fun to work with. I mean, maybe we were fortunate that way, but everybody we ever worked with was great.
I thought you guys had good matches with Twin Towers, too, really big guys.
Yeah, and that was another one. And we had to have my first WrestleMania in my life, the biggest show of my life. And at that time, Shawn, and we were sitting there thinking, we're the little guys. In fact, every time we had to wrestle, Davey Boy Smith would come to find us, let us know when we were getting close. He goes, midget match, where the Rockets? They called us the midgets, because we were the littlest guys there. And, they put us with the two monsters. Both guys 6'7", 6'8", 350, 400 pounds, and then our little 220-pound, 5'11", 6-foot, butts. But we got lucky enough to even make that work.
Yeah, that worked well. We're going to take one more caller here. I don't know the number because they have it blocked.
This was that one call we didn't want to get.
Who is this on the line?
And they hung
up. Nobody now.
What a call.
That was Ghost Rider.
Yeah, they call in and this hang up.
Sat there all that time, too, waiting, didn't they, just to do that?
Yeah, they messed up the audio because I could hear the show playing in the background just to hang up.
Is that what that was? I thought it was my phone about to go dead.
No.
Or Mustafa and Gator, my two pimp daddies over here giving me hell.
Yeah. What's the story there with Mustafa and Gator?
Well, those are my best friends, and they're known. I can't say too much because they're big-time pimps in the world. And they travel with me. They kind of rule everything. They keep me in place. They keep me in line. And they pretty much made their own characters out on back in the MySpace days again. Mustafa was the father of Gator, who is the illegitimate son, and they're my cats. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Excellent.
There's also Marley Moe in the background. He's just a puppy growing up, and he's trying to learn from them, but they abuse him so bad because he's 6 months old. He's way bigger than them, but they got all the experience.
Van here in the chat room is a big fan of Larry Nelson. Wants to know, he said, Marty has to have a good Larry Nelson story.
I got a Larry Nelson story that's good for the guy. I can't tell. I wouldn't dare tell us. It was back in the party days that we did some crazy stuff. Larry Nelson, though, I loved him. He was he was a happening dude, man. He was right there with us. He had to do the coat and tie and proper announcing. Man, he could throw it back and party with us as soon as we were through at work or through with interviews. And, super guy.
Yeah, we had him on. As far as I know, I don't think there's many Larry Nelson interviews out there, but we had him on the show, and I was really surprised by all the stories he was talking about.
Oh, he's a guy. I would love to have heard that show.
Yeah.
In fact, if you got it recorded somewhere, I'd like to get it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you tonight.
Definitely. Cool.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you for coming on here. We had you on over an hour.
I appreciate it, man, and it's been good. And again, anybody wanting to get in touch for any kind of bookings or whatever, send them over to Facebook. I got the I don't know how to work the damn fan page thing, so you can go. I'm at the limit on my regular fan Facebook page, but there's a link on there to get to the fan page, or you can just look up it's Marty Jannetty with that. It says athlete under it, and it's the one where I'm wearing the black vest. But anybody got any interest in any personal appearances or some seminars for schools or anything at all, just get in contact with me there.
Excellent. And we'll put up links on the website, or you can send me an email and I'll send it over.
I'll make sure. Definitely, man. And we'll have to do this again.
Definitely. Had a lot of fun.
I won't be so nervous, and I can tell some really good stories.
All right. Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, man.
You'll have to try to beat the George South record. He was on for 3 hours. So.
Wow. Man, I'll pass out first.
We'll just add all your appearances together, and you can beat him that way.
All right, we'll do it that way.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, appreciate it, man. Keep rocking, y'all.
Cool.
This is Harley Race, the king, the greatest wrestler on the face of God's green earth. And you're listening to In Your Head.